Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me tonight. We are going to be doing some really nice angel wings, I think. Hope you enjoy this project. I did this example way back, recorded it, but then I decided I wanted to do it live, and I'm going to change it up a little bit. We're going to change the colors and things. So I've got my husband Mark here.
Hey, everybody.
And he is going to be manning the chat. This is a live show. And if you've got any questions, he will take them for you and pass them on to me. Got my paints in this little plastic baggie here. And I decided to do a little bit more neutral tones. You can totally do the red if you want to. This was just black background with red streaked over the top. But I thought I'd do something a little bit more neutral because that's my color, so I'm going to use this in my house. So I wanted it that way. So you can do whatever colors you want. I've got burnt sienna, phthalo blue, carbon black. Those are our three main colors. Yellow, oxide also, and then these two are titanium white and unbleached titanium. And then I added a couple metallic silver and two different golds as well. So I'll probably add those as accents at the end. But if you are new to my channel, welcome. I do all kinds of acrylic paintings for beginners and intermediate students from all ages, kids to adults. And we are all about helping you enjoy painting, learn to paint, and make it a fun process while you're learning to paint. I will have a traceable for this, so if you don't like to draw or know how to draw, that's fine. You can still paint. You don't have to know how to draw. I went ahead and made myself a template. So I will post this on my Instagram and Pinterest, and it'll probably just be the one wing. So I don't know if you can even see that. You can see that one. Okay. I've got a 12 by 16 inch canvas panel, but you can use whatever size you want. I think it'd look really cool on a really huge canvas, and it'd be the same steps. You just kind of change the proportions a little bit. So what I did is drew out my angel wings on here, and I'll go ahead and use a Sharpie so you can see it. You really only need one wing because then you'll just flip it when you trace it. So I used up my whole paper. This canvas was just perfect for that like regular 8.5 by 11 inch paper to fit on it. But if you're doing a larger piece, you can just tape paper together or whatever you need to do to make it a larger template for your angel. And I kind of started out at the bottom here because I wanted that wing tip to fit right at the bottom of the paper, right at the corner, and then I angled it up and then kind of came down just a little bit and did a curve in and up to the very top and rounded it out and met these two lines together. So it kind of rounds straight up around. What are you laughing at?
Somebody's asked if that's the same Sharpie that I used.
That is the same Sharpie that Mark used in his demonstration. Yes, it's a special Sharpie. Mark did a special stickman demonstration for us on my Thankful Art page this week. And so this is the famous Sharpie that he used for that. I have a Facebook group called Thankful Art that I do live Monday art chats. So Mark was my guest artist this week, my husband Mark, and he did stickman for us. So it was awesome. It was hilarious. Okay, so basically I'm just going to angle this wing up, kind of a gentle curve, and I kind of did sort of random slightly wavy line. And then the top section is going to have like I don't know what this is, but it's a kind of a line right at the top. And then there's these little smaller feathers that kind of overlap a little bit. And I'm going to draw this in so that you can see where we're going to paint, because I may not draw this on my canvas, so you can have this as a reference. Then these are going to kind of come down a little bit longer. And actually I probably ought to do the overlapping in the same direction, but I guess it doesn't matter. And they're kind of facing toward the tip a little bit, sort of down toward the tip. Overlapping really honestly doesn't matter too much. We're going to kind of just use our brush width to make these feathers. Then do another one about the same, another layer, maybe a little bit longer but similar. And then these ones are our, let's go ahead and put in our well, no, I'll do it this way. So these ones are going to be a little bit longer, and don't go farther than about halfway on the wing here, because we want these long ones to be nice and long. That's one of the things I didn't do on my example that I didn't like, so I thought I'd change it with this one. Like that. Then we're going to do long lines that kind of curve in like that for the long. Okay, so that's our basic wing shape. And I've gone ahead and traced it onto my canvas here. If you wanted to use this and trace out all these pieces, you could use tracing paper or transfer paper to do that. But I just drew it on here and then cut it out of cardstock that's a little bit firm, and then just traced it and flipped it over and traced the other side using my little template there. So let's get started. Here, don't want to spend too much time on that part. Get to the painting. That's what people want to see, right? Okay, so I've got just 3 brushes tonight, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to need all of them, but this one is a 12 bright, but it's really about a 1-inch Princeton Summit 6100. This is another Princeton Summit 6100. It's an angle, about a 1/2 inch angle, and this is about a 1/2 inch flat, maybe a little bit more than a 1/2 inch flat, silver ruby satin. This is a brand new brush, so I'm kind of curious to see how it works. We'll see. This is actually a new one too, but I like this Princeton brand, so I already. Princeton Summit 6100. I got them at the brush guys. They were clearancing these, so they were really, really cheap. So if there's any left, you can look at those, but check out the brush guys. Okay, so I went ahead and traced this out because I think I'm just going to kind of do my background very random and generally kind of fluff out the feathers a little bit, and then we'll put the more detailed feathers on top. So the background's going to be kind of a gray. So I'm going to add black to my white, make kind of a gray color, and then we'll just start adding other colors into this. So don't worry too much about your lines. I used a watercolor pencil so that my lines will dissolve. And if you want to draw on your canvas, you could draw wishes on there. We did that when I did the angel painting, and I think it makes it a little bit more meaningful. I'm going to grab a little bit of burnt sienna and add a little bit of that color in there. While it's wet, I'm just going to work in small sections. Maybe go a little bit darker with it. Add in some darker streaks. I'm kind of going vertically with these this time. So grab a little bit of blue. And when I'm grabbing these colors, they're so saturated, I don't need a lot of them. So just using very little paint. And it's mixing with these browns and blacks that were already in my brush, so it's going to make kind of a neutral blue. It's not as bright as it might be straight out of the bottle. We doing good tonight on chat, honey?
Yeah, no real questions. Somebody just asked if it was better to use glass or plastic jar for your water. And I said glass just so that it wouldn't tip over as easy.
Yeah, I like glass. I mean, really, it doesn't matter. I've used Cool Whip jars before too, for like Cool Whip jugs, because they're really wide. Especially if I'm using a sponge, I like the Cool Whip ones because they're low and they don't tip. They're like kind of flat, and then you can get your whole hand down in it. This one is pretty big as well, so I could probably, no, I couldn't get my hand in it though. But I like to be able to see the side of the glass when I'm cleaning out my brushes, so I can tell if they're coming clean or not. But I think it's just a personal preference. There's some really good plastic ones that have like little, and I have one, I just don't use it anymore, but it's got like little places for your brushes to rest, so they're not like setting on their tips in the water, which is probably smart.
Yeah, but that one that you use there, it was free. Well,
right, exactly. I was going to throw it out. Is my recycling, saving the planet. Okay, I'm going to add some darker gray here. Really, this is kind of your preference. So if you wanted to do the reds, you could totally do reds and grays, or any color really that you wanted to on this part for the background. You could even just do a solid color if you don't want this variated. I'm going to grab some of this Unbleached Titanium and add it to the gray. Grab a little bit more of that burnt Sienna. Just adding random, letting my brush strokes show. Sort of got that kind of wispy feeling of the angel wings, so I'm going to darken it up right here in the center. Now you don't want to go over this too much when it's starting to dry, and it is starting to get sticky, so I'm going to let that set and come back to it. Acrylics get temperamental when they're trying to dry. You don't want to mess with them. When they're drying, they get sticky and they will stick to your brush and lift right off the canvas. So that's one of the number one most common problems that beginners will have. So if you notice, I'm working in small sections. I started in the middle and I worked around here. I stopped over here. I'm not going to worry too much about this because I'll just put some blue over here that kind of matches it to blend it in, but then I worked all the way up and around. And if you do that, then you shouldn't have any problems with your paints lifting. And you can blend your little sections at a time just fine. I probably say that in every video, but some people haven't heard it, so I apologize to my regular viewers because they're like, we know that. We cleaned our house today.
Yeah, it's getting ready for the holidays.
Yep, we've got Thanksgiving coming up. We've got some family coming in this week, so tomorrow actually, so it'll be fun. Actually got our Christmas tree up too early. Not decorated yet. My cat was helping me.
Yeah.
Got the ribbon out. She always likes the ribbon, so she was very interested. She laid on it for me. She was, I don't know, testing it.
Right. She likes to lay underneath the tree once it's fully decorated and all that stuff. And
we don't have her blankie out yet under the tree. She's waiting for the blanket to come out so that she can lay on it, something comfy under the tree. Guard our presents. So okay, so I'm doing kind of contrast colors there. Looks all right. Now for the wings, I'm going to go a little bit darker, just so that they have nice contrast underneath when we do the white on top. So I'm going to grab a little bit more white because I'm out. Fascinating. Sorry. This cap is not going on right with one hand. Okay. Here we go. gonna do mostly, I think, gray underneath. Maybe a little bit darker than that. There we go. And I'm gonna kind of go in that direction that I drew in the feathers. So this one I'm going to go this way with them, and then this one I'm going to go in this direction, like that. So I think this is going to be a pretty fast project tonight. Actually, I'm thinking it might be a record for a live show. Short video, super easy. Just keep on filling in. Don't worry too much about your edges being fluffy. That's kind of part of the look. So this is really good actually project for a first time painting, I think, because it's pretty much no fail. I'm going to add a little bit of blue maybe. Just have a little bit of blue underneath there. That's pretty.
The brush strokes are coming through on the audio really well.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Are they annoying or?
No.
Okay.
It's like you're really pushing the paint into the canvas.
Yeah, there.
You said before that painting is kind of therapeutic, stress reliever.
Yeah, it is. You could definitely get your frustrations out on this canvas with your brush. Just make sure if you're going to be doing that, don't use your best brush.
Yeah.
If you're going to beat up on it, use one of those cheaper ones. And really, this one's not going to matter too much if you do have a kind of an old beat up brush, because this is very fluffy. It's going to look really weird before it looks better, so don't panic if it gets to a point when you're going to go, I think I'm doing this wrong. That's very normal. Keep on going.
Somebody had a question asking, is there a way to make a color silver? I guess you can buy the paint, but do you know of any way?
There's iridescent medium that you can add to paint. I don't know. I think if you added it to gray, it would probably make it metallic. I've not used it, but I've heard that it's pretty awesome. So I've got it on my wish list. I'll try it out on a future painting and let you know. But I would think that would probably work. Apple Barrel, or I'm not Apple Barrel, Americana Deco Art has all kinds of metallics that are really inexpensive, like $1, $1.50. So you don't have to go out and buy the $6 golden brand one. You can just get the cheaper paints for this if you if you're not going to be using a lot of metallics on stuff. It makes sense just to kind of get the cheaper paints, especially because we're going to do it as a top coat, so it's not going to be needing a whole lot of paint for it. I'm just going to keep on filling in here. I'm using the edge of my brush, holding it kind of close to the end. This is a long-handled one. You don't need the long-handled brush, but and just kind of flicking to fill in these wings.
Is there an advantage to having a longer brush?
It actually gives you a little bit of leverage when you're doing these types of painting. You can, I don't know, it's like a pendulum almost.
It flicks better?
Yeah, it does. It kind of flicks better. But small ones will be fine too. And, of course, some people hold their brushes like this out long. Like they use these long brushes and they hold it in their fist like this. It's kind of a traditional way of doing it. And they, kind of do like this. And it gives it a little bit more like a painterly effect, more impressionistic. So if you were painting that way, or painting it impressionistic, keeps you from doing it just so perfectly. So if you're wanting that kind of more imperfect look,
And I'm sure
thing
it's
to try. You
easier.
could probably try.
Yeah, I'm sure it's easier when you're standing up too.
It is easier when you're standing up, and it's easier on your hand in general than using it like this, than drawing, because your fingers can get tired. But this way you're kind of using your whole arm instead of flexing your wrist. So, I mean, it's the way some people teach doing it that way. And my brother David actually was talking about it with me the other day and saying that's how he learned when he took art in school. So, okay, so that's good. We could even leave it like that. I mean, it's kind of cool with the dark wings. But I think I'm going to switch to my smaller brush. This is pretty dry. Oops, not up there though. Not up there. Okay, so let's work on the background a little bit more. I think mostly dry. It's a little bit thick. I'm just going to go ahead and do another layer of the same, maybe add a few of the lighter colors and some metallics. So we'll grab some of this Unbleached Titanium, add a little bit of burnt sienna to it, maybe a little bit of black, just to kind of make it like a brown. That's a nice color. Brown gray. And we're just gonna add over the top, and leave some of the background showing in places. And this is really, it depends on what color you want. If you want those blues to be your main color, you can leave and use more blues with this. I'm going to kind of have my main colors be these neutral grays with just hints of the blues and things in there. So I'm going to keep the white and lightest colors away from the wings though, because the wings are going to be very light along the edges. So this is just a second layer of detail. And if you notice, I'm kind of dry brushing a little bit, so there's texture happening. The background is showing through. I'm not going super solid with my color. Kind of brown. Let's grab some gray. And here's where you could kind of get creative, and if you wanted to, you could put some little like curlicues or circles or whatever. Maybe we could do a feather down here. Let's do that. We'll do a feather kind of falling off down here. So I'll do the dark color underneath. Do the kind of main stem of it in a long line. Thin, and I've pushed my brush flat so that I've got a nice thin line here. So do a long line and then sort of add these little branches along this outsides towards the center. We'll put the white over the top, but we still need that dark underneath. Like that. So just have fun with this. I think this is a really fun, project to just kind of play with colors, play with mixing some different, things. Be sure you have colors that are gonna mix well. That's the main thing,
What do you mean by mix well?
Well, if you've got, I mean, in this case, we're kind of going for that gray look. So that's, you know, it's good that these colors are kind of mixing gray. But if you weren't going gray, like if you wanted something a little bit more vibrant or a brighter red, like I wouldn't mix a red and a green because they're opposite on the color wheel, and so they would make a muddy brown color. In this case, we're going for muddy, so that's probably fine, but you know, just kind of, I mean, this is a good project to kind of learn and see what your colors do when you blend them, and then you can always cover over. Acrylics are nice that way because they are very forgiving. You can just, if you make a mistake or do something you don't like, especially with this kind of project where we're just kind of adding layers and playing with the directionality of the paint, there's really no right and wrong way of doing it. So freedom, just have fun with it. I think this is a really good project to let loose, let your creativity flow. Okay, looking good. Let's go ahead and grab some, let me see. Do I want my gold on the wings or on the background? Ooh, what do we want to do? Oh, I forgot about the yellow. I keep forgetting I didn't put any yellow in there. Let's put a little bit of yellow. I'm just going to turn it kind of green. No? No opinion?
Myself personally,
Yeah.
no.
Okay. I kind of made a nice sage green. It's kind of pretty. Add it in a few places. I had all those blues and grays in here, so when I added the yellow to it, it kind of mixed with all of it. So no opinion. Okay. Well, let's grab some of this blue and do a little bit more of the blue down here.
Remember, I'm the one that wanted to paint all the walls white.
That's true.
So
That's true.
I'm not always the best with asking about colors.
I forgot about that. Okay, I'm going to use the gold in the background. So this gold is pretty transparent, so it's going to kind of just highlight little areas. So I'm going to use it kind of sparingly. This one is Iridescent Gold Deep Fine, and this one is Iridescent Gold Bright Fine. So I'm going to, I think I like the deep gold better than the bright for this, because look how bright that, I like it. Just going to use it kind of wisp it around the wings, sort of always kind of flowing in those general direction of the wing. Add a little bit of the bright gold, but I don't like that one as much. This is kind of turning everything green. Okay. I want a little bit thicker in some places to give it a little bit of extra shine. Yeah, I like it. You can totally leave out the metallics if you don't like metallics. If you want this for all year round, I think it would be a cool all year round painting. So, you know, if you wanted to leave out the metallics, because the metallics make it a little bit more seasonal, I think. All right, now I'm going to get fresh white. I'm going to put it on a clean spot on my palette if I can find one. And now for the fun part. Not that this wasn't fun up till now, but...
Oh, I'm having a blast.
Mark was He's been listening. You were very knowledgeable. You were talking about perspective and negative space when he
Yes,
was
of
talking
course.
about his stickman, and he had examples of his previous work with stickman and a reference photo of stickman to go by. It was pretty awesome. He took it very seriously.
Well, yeah, but you kept on laughing in the background. So.
I couldn't help it. It was
Yeah.
I was awed by your talent.
Right. Odd. That's the word.
Okay, I think I'm gonna start out with a maybe a neutral white. So we're gonna grab this unbleached titanium and do our first layer with this, and then we'll do the bright white on top of that. And we'll see how this goes. I haven't done an example with these colors, so we're just kind of winging it. Get it? Huh? Did not mean to do that. Sorry, I hate puns. Okay, so I'm going to set my brush down kind of where I can fit it in here. Press down and sort of flick it up. See if that's good. Okay, so let's do this. We're gonna do a kind of a medium neutral. We'll do this unbleached titanium, and it's picking up some of these other colors in it. That's fine. And then I'm gonna grab the white on the very tip. So it's gonna have both colors. We'll see, and that might save us from having to do it twice. Nice. Now, if you wanted to, you could take chalk and chalk in, if this was dry, you could chalk in your lines for your wing so that you knew kind of where to place your thing, or if you had a traceable, this is where you would trace it on the details part. So there's the smaller wings. Then we've got
Feathers.
the longer, what?
Smaller feathers.
Feathers, sorry. Medium, kind of medium. I think that was about it, right? Was there a third? Yeah, well, I guess these were two smaller ones. And then these ones were all pretty long. So I probably need to make these longer. There we go. You want to go right up to where your next layer is going to be, but not over it. So, because you want a little bit of this color showing through. And so grab the unbleached titanium and then a little bit of white on the tip. And you could use a filbert for this as well. I didn't have any filberts that felt stiff enough, so that's why I'm using my flat brush. But I'm kind of pulling it to the side a little bit and then up, just to get this roundedness at the tip. Okay, so I'm stopping about halfway up. Let's do a little bit on this side. And these don't have to match exactly, so don't feel like, I mean, if you have different size numbers of feathers on one side, I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. Let it be a little bit random. And if you get it too white, like, those are kind of disappearing, what we can do is go back in with some of our darker background color and add a little bit back of that in there. So I think that's looking pretty good. Let's see how that dark helped underneath. Just having that little bit of contrast makes a huge difference. Otherwise the white would just disappear on the white canvas and you wouldn't really see it popping out. All right, let's do our next layer. And I might switch to my angle brush for the smaller feathers, but I think for now we're doing good. So do another layer here, and I'm going to overlap. I'm going to go a little bit over the top, but I'm leaving a little bit of that dark showing through. Do I need to zoom in or is this good?
Hey, I think it's great, but I'm not painting it, so
Okay.
I don't know. No, I think it looks good.
Looks good enough?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go outside the edge a little bit even, right there.
Ooh.
So that these edges or borders are a little bit fluffier. I like this so much better than the example one. Okay, so I'm ending about right there. And if you press down harder, you'll get a thicker line. So, ooh, got some thick paint going on there. And again, I'm just using the edge of my brush. I'm not using it flat this way like I did on these bigger feathers. I kind of pulled it flat long ways, and then this time I'm kind of using the edge of it to get thinner feathers. Okay, that one looks a little bit weird right here. Let's just do another one right here. We can get a little bit of the blue. I'm out of black. Either I have way too much or too little paint. It seems like I can't ever quite get it just right. But with these acrylics, you don't need as much as you think you do. I think one of the things that my students did, especially my kids' students, they would load up way too much paint on their palettes. So use less than you think you need. You can always add more.
That's right. When you're paying for it,
That's right, yeah.
use it sparingly.
Mm-hmm.
So some people are painting along with you.
Oh, great.
While we're live here, and they had a question. They did one side of the wings, very well with the feathers, but they're struggling with the other side. So, would you suggest like rotating the canvas to get you a better angle on it? Or?
Yeah, they can, for sure. If you want to, you could even do it upside down and pull towards you. Might be easier, more natural a rhythm.
Okay.
I've got some of that background color here in this one, and I'm just kind of adding some streaks of that to these feathers. Yeah, you can see mine aren't exactly the same either, so. Their wings are all fluffed out. Our cat Oliver brought us a really nice treat last week. He left us cardinal wings placed, just the wings and the beak. That's it. Placed, I think we still have them out there. They're
usually they're just the feathers, but this was the actual two
full wings.
Whole intact wings. Yeah,
just the big red wings. Like, really, Oliver?
Yeah, he was proud of himself.
Yeah, he
that's
was
for
really
sure.
proud. He left them for us to see. You know,
Yeah.
like, look what I did.
So,
Yeah, not cool, Oliver. We've started giving him treats when he brings mice and not giving him treats when he brings the bird and rabbits. Bad kitty. Okay, so I'm doing the same thing. I'm just adding a little bit less this time. And I'd say one of the things is that I'm not pulling all the way up and then letting go. I'm setting it down and just flicking my wrist. And that'll give you a more natural look, and it'll get you a thinner feather edge. So load your brush flat. Have a pretty decent amount of paint. I have a little bit more paint on here than I normally might. Set it down and then just flick it. And having the thicker paint too will kind of give you darker edges, or brighter edges, I should say. it'll have thicker paint around the outside edges and kind of create an interesting texture. So you could probably do this with the palette knife too, or go through and do it with some like putty first and add some texture and then paint over the top. There's all kinds of different ways you could do it.
What kind of putty?
Modeling paste or something like that.
All right.
Yeah. Or even gel medium you could probably use too. Okay, I'm just going to go back in and add a little white tips to some of these to brighten them up. Now that they're drying. And I'm not pulling all the way up, I'm just kind of using a little bit of paint, adding just a little bit to the very end. I really like the white wing, this is pretty. All right, now here is where I might switch to a smaller brush. I'm going to see how this works. I'm probably going to just go ahead and do it like this and just set it down. It's working. Set it down on its corner. So I'm setting it down on the corner and then just kind of lifting it up. Angling the end of the brush towards the top. So if I angled it back this way, my end would come this way towards me. So I want it to go up. I'm going to angle the brush this way and just do my little feathers there. I think that's good. I might do some little ones in between. I feel like it's kind of too much dark right there. There we go. And I'm always, if you notice, all of these are kind of all stacked in that same direction. So they're all kind of facing down this way, and these ones are all sort of stacked in this direction. And doing it from the bottom up is really important so that these layers overlap the one underneath. Okay, I think it's looking pretty good. I'll grab my white and do another layer of these teeny tiny, just little dots right here along, just kind of doing the same thing I did there, only in that direction. So turning the brush this way. There we go. And then I'm just gonna do a long kind of line over the top. Mark offered to do a stick man on my group one. He thought he could fit a stick man right in the middle, right here. I declined the offer. It was a very generous offer, but I'm still up for doing that.
Well, yeah, and bring some value to it.
So I'm just kind of going over the top of these with some thinner lines. Make sure your brush is nice and flat here. You could use a smaller liner brush if you can't get thin enough lines with your flat brush. And really, these are a little bit more detailed than our other wings are, so you could kind of just do another flick there. Cute. Right, now if you really wanted to get super detailed, you could do all of your feathers in the whole wing with this, with the center line, and then do the little thing on either side. Do the dark first. I think it looked gorgeous. It just take a long time, but it'd definitely be worth the worth it, I think. So that's up to you. Now, if you've got any areas that are really too dark, you can just go back in and sort of add a little tiny bit of white paint over the top. And I don't think that they're too bad. Kind of like the dark and light. There, all right, now to finish it off, I'm just going to grab some silver. I'm going to use the silver over the top lightly. And silver is very transparent, so it's not going to show up very much. So you got to have that white underneath for it to have something to stick to. And you may have to wait for your wings to dry if they're still a little bit sticky. I think mine are doing okay. I don't even know if you can see what it's looking like, but I'll hold it up to the light here in a minute. You'll see what I'm doing. Not very many questions tonight, huh?
Not art related, that's for sure.
Not art related. Uh-oh. Our chat always kind of goes off in odd directions. Doesn't always follow the lesson. You could also use iridescent. If you didn't want to turn these silver, you could use iridescent pearl. That would keep it a little bit more white. This is sort of graying out the wings just a little bit. But those are my colors for my tree this year, so you get treated too. This was my indulgence. A little bit to that, and okay, you can see kind of the shiny. That's all she wrote, really. I think it looks pretty good. I'm not completely happy with the top part there. It looks a little bit fussy, so I might just go and kind of mess it up a little bit. Just add a little bit of, it's like a little bit dark up through here. It's got these little triangle shapes that I'm kind of not happy with, so I'm just gonna kind of fill some of them in a little bit. Yeah, that's better. Just tapping in a little bit of color. Sort of transparent. So you're still seeing a little bit of that dark, but it's not quite as stark. That's better. All right, 50 minutes, not too bad.
That was a good half hour. Wait a minute, no.
Did I say half hour?
Well, that's what you were telling me before the show.
Oh, well, I was telling you 30 minutes, but I took a little longer with the background. Yeah. So we did 2 layers. So anyhow, thank you so much, guys, for watching tonight. Hope you've enjoyed this project. If you do it, please share it with me on my Thankful Art page on Facebook. And we will see you Saturday. Saturday, we've got a really fun project. More metallics. Kind of in the metallic mood lately, I guess. Oh, we're doing some reindeer, and you can leave the metallics out. This is silver. It looks a little bit gold. I think it's the lighting, but color palette's super simple. So if you want to do a color other than blue, you know, pick whatever color you want, and then we're just doing the metallic deer over the top. Should be a lot of fun. So we will see you Saturday for that, and thanks for watching tonight with us. We will catch you later. Bye.